Hey Kylie.
How's it going?
Well, thank you. So what are we on? Take 47 about now, I should
I
think?
think we are, yeah. Anyway, so what's the process for today?
So the process for today is the software asset data verification process.
Which is a bit of a mouthful, isn't it?
It really is, but it's key. It's needed.
It really is.
Yes, if you want to put any sort of documentation that is worth its weight in front of senior management, you've got to make sure that the building blocks that form that report are trusted. So that's essentially the goal of the process in question.
Yeah. So this is the process that produces trusted and accurate data. And I think it's important to recognise the way we do that is by comparing different data sources, isn't it? And finding the discrepancies between them.
Primarily, there's a range of means of ways that you can actually do this. So say if you are doing some sort of SCCM grab, there'll be a checksum value at the beginning and end of each inventory intake with SCCM to make sure that it got the whole inventory then at that point.
Yeah.
So there are some that are inherent and built in, but there are others that you can then say, okay, let's take a wider, higher view. So say, for example, your SCCM did grab 100% of the perceived devices that it has on the IT estate. That's only because they're the ones that SCCM can actually see.
Yeah. But you would then be... so this is where you compare different data sets. So you can compare what's in SCCM with what's in your antivirus, for instance, and then find the difference between the two. And then not only do you have an indication of where SCCM might not be covering the full estate, but you've also got an understanding of where antivirus might be falling short as well. So you've got two different data sets, you compare the two, and then you can actually identify issues and go and A, fix those issues out, but B, and to be honest, this is more important, think about where the process went wrong so that you stop data issues being created in future. So I think this is a really important aspect of this process, is that we're not just looking to fix up data, we're looking to prevent data becoming inaccurate in future by improving processes.
Amen.
So it spins off to QA process and to, then process change, continual improvement, all of those other things which really drive forward the whole management system as a whole.
Yeah.
So, but I think there's another element that I really want to raise, which I've been coming across quite a lot lately, and there is a sense of futility and frustration when data is not 100% accurate. Oh, we can't do anything because the data's not accurate. And I'm like, yes, you can.
Yes.
You can. You can make decisions on inaccurate data as long as the data is good enough.
Yes. Or you report the risk. When you do put the report forward, you say this is with a pinch of accuracy as opposed to something I'm prepared to die on a hill about.
Yeah. So don't get hung up on... So there's balance to be found with this process. Don't get hung up on, oh, I can't do anything, and feeling really frustrated and that your hands are tied because you know that the data is not accurate. Think about, is the data good enough for what I need it to do? And you'd be surprised that actually a lot of the time when what you're doing is providing recommendations to senior management about a course of action, the data doesn't have to be 100% accurate. It just needs to be enough that you can make a recommendation based on it. So there's a real balance to be struck, and a lot of IT asset managers really struggle with that. So I think so accurate data is like anything within ITAM. It's what we do with the accurate data.
And it's so subjective as well, because there's, you think about what a life cycle actually is for a mayfly. It's a month. For a tortoise, it's 200 years.
Exactly.
And data is no different in that regard.
Yeah. So I think the other thing to think about is it's not just about deployment data. It's not just about what's in use. This process also extends across all the data that you use within your management system. So you do need to be periodically applying this process to your entitlement data, to your contracts data, to any data that you use. Apply this process to find issues with it. And to be honest, a lot of the issues, if you sort out the process, because data has a short life cycle, you're constantly refreshing it. If you focus on process improvement to resolve the underlying issues, then the data issues will resolve themselves.
So we had a particular example of that, and I think it's worth giving a shout out to Flexera back in the day. My first engagement with them was for a large container organisation, and because they were quite aggressive in the acquisition space, it was worth periodically revisiting which companies were falling under scope. So there would be a check against the companies that were reporting as entities in Flexera versus the company registered then at that point. So having that sort of compare and contrast, because you don't want to be the SAM manager who says, well, I didn't know we bought that company over there or we had to do anything about it. You want to get ahead of the curve on those kind of things and make sure that you're up to speed on what's going on in the wider business, because at the end of the day, IT and SAM exist to support the business, it's not the other way around.
Yeah. So what are the core things? One is focus on improving underlying processes that generate the data. Compare data sets.
Mm-hmm.
Think about whether the data is good enough. Don't go chasing 100% if you don't really need 100%. And what was the other thing?
There was another thing, I think that was it, wasn't it?
Scope. Yeah. Revisit what is in scope. It covers all of your data.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, really.
I think so, yeah.
Data verification process, what's not to love?
Easy as.